It was a Friday night, the kind of party that should have been fun, carefree, and filled with laughter. But something in me felt off. I had been married to Laura for 7 years, and while most nights were fine, tonight carried an unease I couldn't shake. I was about to step out the door, ready to leave early, when I overheard something that froze me in place. A friend of hers, someone I barely knew but had seen enough to understand her influence, leaned in close and whispered a detail that made my stomach twist. My wife, Laura, was planning about me, about us, about things I hadn't expected, things I wasn't prepared for. Curiosity pulled me back. I stayed, pretending to mingle, pretending to sip my drink, while my ears strained to catch every word. The casual laughter and chatter of the party faded into background noise as I focused on her, on the way she spoke, on the way her friends nodded and laughed at things that felt like a betrayal whispered in code. "I can't believe he's still here," she said, a smirk on her face. "I thought he'd have left by now. He's so predictable." My heart pounded. My instinct screamed at me to intervene, to confront, to storm out, but something held me. Something told me to listen. And what I heard next made my jaw tighten. "They'll never see it coming," she said, glancing around to make sure I wasn't obvious. "I've been planning this for months. He doesn't even suspect a thing. By next week, everything will change." I felt a surge of emotions, anger, disbelief, and a sharp, icy fear. She wasn't just talking about a harmless surprise or a joke. No, this was strategic, calculated, personal. She had an agenda, and I was the unwitting pawn. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to remain calm. No one else knew. No one else saw the storm brewing inside me. I needed to act carefully, to process, to plan my next move. Reacting too soon could expose my own vulnerabilities. For the next few hours, I moved through the party like a shadow, listening, observing, absorbing every word, every glance, every nuance. Each snippet of conversation built a picture of her intentions, her alliances, her hidden plan. And with every detail, my resolve hardened. I wouldn't be a victim. I wouldn't be blindsided. By the time the party was winding down, I had a clear understanding. She thought she was in control, but she hadn't accounted for my instincts, my patience, or the quiet strength I had been cultivating over the past months. I had been pushed, underestimated, and ignored, but that was about to change. After the party, I couldn't shake the tension. Every word I had overheard replayed in my mind, forming a pattern, a puzzle I was determined to solve. Laura thought she had me figured out, but she had underestimated one thing. I never act without understanding the full picture. The following morning, I began quietly gathering information. I paid attention to her conversations, her subtle expressions, and even the small hints she left on her phone. Each detail was another piece of the plan she thought was secret. Her confidence, her smirks, her casual attitude, all of it was masking anxiety, uncertainty, and a miscalculation on her part. I didn't confront her immediately. That would have played into her expectations. She wanted a reaction. She wanted to provoke, to control, to manipulate. Instead, I waited, letting her slip further into her own trap, letting her believe she had the upper hand. Days passed, and I prepared quietly. I reviewed our finances, assessed our shared assets, and ensured everything I valued was secure. I made calls, arranged contingencies, and even reached out to friends who might be unwittingly drawn into her schemes. Every precaution was deliberate, every move calculated. Then came the turning point. Laura called me, feigning innocence in casual conversation, asking if I'd noticed certain changes around the house. I let her speak, letting her believe she was probing, fishing for information. Meanwhile, I listened closely, noting the patterns, predicting her next steps, understanding her strategy. When she finally dropped her veiled threat, a subtle hint that she was planning to make a major claim against me in the coming weeks, I didn't flinch. I didn't show fear. I simply nodded, letting the words settle between us. She expected hesitation, perhaps even panic. What she didn't expect was my calm, my silence, my knowledge that her carefully laid plan was already anticipated and countered. That night, as she went to bed, I sat in the living room, reflecting. For 7 years, I had invested in this marriage, in trust, in patience, and in understanding. And for 7 years, I had sometimes been blind to the cracks beneath the surface. But now, every detail was clear. Her betrayal, her schemes, her underestimation of me. It all became a roadmap to my response. I realized that the true power in any relationship isn't in control, manipulation, or deception. It's an awareness, foresight, and preparation. I had been pushed to the edge, but rather than reacting impulsively, I chose patience and strategy. And that patience, that careful planning, was about to turn the tables completely. The following week, everything came to a head. Laura believed she had prepared for every possible scenario, that she had mapped my weaknesses, and that I would falter under pressure. She didn't know that I had anticipated her every move, quietly securing my position and ensuring I was untouchable. One afternoon, she cornered me in the living room, papers in hand, her voice tight with frustration. "I don't understand how did you know? How did you prepare for all of this?" I looked at her calmly, letting her words hang in the air. "Because, Laura," I said, "I never act blindly. I observe, I analyze, I plan, and I don't let someone else's assumptions dictate my life." She faltered, searching my face for anger, for weakness, for any hint that she still had leverage. But there was nothing. The quiet confidence I exuded was unshakable. Her smirk, once full of arrogance, faded. Her carefully constructed threats crumbled silently in the room. In the days that followed, she tried to regain control, subtly testing boundaries, seeking to intimidate. Each attempt met with calm awareness. I didn't argue. I didn't react. I simply let her realize slowly that the game had changed. The power she thought she held was gone. By the second week, the tension had shifted entirely. Laura began to understand the reality. Her plans were foiled not by luck or chance, but by deliberate action. Every asset, every investment, every strategic move had been protected. The house, the finances, even our shared social connections, all remained secure, untouched, and beyond her reach. It was in her final moment of recognition that the true victory became clear. She had underestimated me, assumed I was predictable and passive, and believed she could manipulate the outcome. But I had turned the situation on its head. Not through aggression or confrontation, but through foresight, patience, and calculated preparation. As she left the house that evening, I felt a strange clarity and relief. The tension, the fear, the uncertainty, all had been transformed into a lesson. Life, I realized, isn't about reacting to betrayal in the moment. It's about anticipating, securing, and acting with purpose. Months later, when I reflected on the entire ordeal, I understood fully. The woman who thought she had me figured out had misjudged everything. The quiet planning, the careful observation, and the deliberate moves had protected not just my assets, but my peace of mind and dignity. And in that, I found more than victory. I found empowerment, foresight, and the unshakable strength that comes from knowing you are always in control of your own life.